Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the ongoing ice storm slash rainstorm slash snowstorm. We have a lot going on with this first storm, but we're going to have another storm developing very shortly that's going to bring more freezing rain to the central United States, more snowfall to the Ohio Valley and the Northeast, and more severe weather and rainfall for the Southeast. So we have a lot to go over in this video, including a big pattern change as well, and then a change back to another pattern. There's so much going on, and we need to talk about all of it within this video. Anyways, before I get into this video, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, do you think that March will be a warmer month or a colder month in the eastern half of the country? Where's that cold going to be centered, basically the west or the east? And what other features do you think it'll have? I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say, because the models have been going back and forth. We're right at that range. We're just a little bit uncertain at this point. But as we draw closer, we will know with more certainty what's going to happen. But for now, it's a fun question to ask. So let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look at our radar imagery. As you can see, we have plenty of storminess here over the southwestern United States. This is storm number 2 right here. And then we can see that we have a lot of storminess up here for our eastern United States region, and this is storm number 1 that is moving out now. So we're going to be mostly watching storm number 2 once we move into the modeled guidance. There's a lot going on with storm number 1 as well, where we actually have a cold front right here, low pressure system that's basically moved offshore, but it was about there, and then a warm front that's moving offshore now. So we're basically seeing this cold air wind, and then storm number 2 is going to come in and do some other things. So we have a lot going on. I don't want to draw on the screen too much. We did have some thunderstorms down here for the southeast, as you can see. You can see a lot of lightning happening there. We have some showers up here in the northeast. We had some thunder snow, it looks like, there in the south central United States. I don't know how accurate that is, but we will zoom in and take a look at that. And then again, storminess in the southwest to talk about as well. We'll actually start in the southwest here with storm number 2. I know it seems kind of backwards, but I always start with the west. We have a lot of snowfall here for Arizona, Utah, and Colorado, I guess the 4 corner states, but only 3 of the 4 corner states here. We have some snowfall going on right there. And then for Los Angeles and surrounding regions, we have some rainfall. Kind of always a rare event when you see that happening. We've seen it probably this is probably the 3rd or 4th time since we've started looking at the radar every morning. So this winter has been slightly rainy for that region. I don't know if it's been above average or below average necessarily at this point, but I know that they have had a bit of rainfall, whereas some winters they have 0 rainfall. So let's take a look here at this potential thunder snow that we're talking about, and it became kind of thunder ice, it looks like, potentially, but very heavy precipitation in this region. So let me know if you are in that region, if there was thunder at all along I-20 or I-35 or I-40, so kind of in between I-20 and I-40 there in Texas and Oklahoma. Let me know what your thoughts are. Was there, I guess not what your thoughts are, like your observations are there if you do live there, and was it snow or was it freezing rain the entire time? I'd also be curious to hear about that as well. Regardless, a very interesting situation. If that was snow, that would be very heavy snowfall that fell pretty briefly there, so super interesting situation. Now we have this rainfall region here over the southeast, and this is really just a heavy pocket of rainfall, and this is what I was talking to you guys about, where it becomes kind of a stationary front. Okay, so we see that this is where the front is but the storms are actually moving along that front. So you see I'm making an arrow here. They're moving along that front, and if you really pay attention, you can see that they are moving in a northeasterly direction there. So the cold air that is pushing in from the north here is equal to the warm air that's pushing in from the south, and that's squeezing the storm and causing everything to move up the front instead of progressing with the front. So that's what we're dealing with. This could lead towards some flooding. We see this happen sometimes. I think generally this region is where I'm watching, obviously, for the flooding. I think it's going to move more towards the southeast before it completely halts. But in here, we're obviously watching for that flooding to potentially take place. Now, we do have some rainfall showers up here to the northeast, but it's really dissipating, and it's nothing compared to what's happening really south down there. Okay. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on. We're going to talk about that model guidance because there is a ton to go over today for you guys. So first off here, we're going to walk through our European model, and I also have the GFS model pulled up as well that we can switch to. But this is by the time we are reaching this afternoon, about 3 p.m., 2 p.m., something like that. And what's going to happen is storm number 2 here is going to have moved mostly into the four corner states there, as you can see. But not only that, but we see that this storminess along the southeast becomes a lot of ice here for Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, which is obviously one of our bigger concerns throughout this storm. The rainfall has really taken aim at the southeast region here, as you can see. So that's going to linger for a while and then mostly dissipate over time. We will get a second round of rainfall here, though, as storm number 2 kind of weakens and mostly moves up here. We will have a cold front here and a warm front that's about here that's causing this precipitation in this region. And obviously the cold front here is causing the precipitation in that region. So again, just like this, we see cold air moving through behind. This warm air is going to be moving northward, and we're going to see the cold front crush through. We've seen this multiple times, so this is not going to feel any different. If anything, this might feel a little bit weaker, although this cold front is a little potent with that precipitation. But as of now, it seems like severe weather will be more limited. Although I will say we have a much more major snowstorm here for the northeast than we have seen with some of the previous storms, so we also need to talk about that. Okay, so that was a lot for a very short amount of time there, I'm kind of realizing. But let's take a look at the freezing rain total, because I am concerned about this. We expect about 1 inch to 2 inches of freezing rain for this region, which is really concerning, the potential of that high amounts of freezing rain. So that's what this model is indicating. Hopefully it's less than that. If you're in the lightest shade, you're looking at about a glaze there. But as you move up into the kind of more middle shades there, where it's not necessarily a dark magenta, but more like a darker pink, I know it's hard to explain. That's where we're more at about 1/4 inch to 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch of freezing rain, which is a significant amount. But it's this darkest region here where we're concerned for northern Arkansas, where this model, the European model, is indicating that we could be well above 1 inch, which is extremely concerning. I'll draw your attention there to the bottom right-handed side of your screen there, where we see the max. That means that's the max anywhere on this map right now, which we can safely assume is there in northern Arkansas, where we see the darkest colors, is exactly 2 inches that this model is indicating. So obviously that's quite concerning. Now let's move up into the northeast, and well, let's take a look at the total snowfall on the entire map, I guess. If you're anywhere in the grays, it's a dusting. If anything, blues are going to be 2 to 6 inches of snowfall for these entire regions. Purples will be 6 to 10, and then these pinks here, like this, are going to be your 10 to 20 inches of snowfall. And then these pastel blues, and here where we're seeing some of those, are going to be 20 to 30. And we even see some pastel purples showing up, which is 30 inches plus. Now let's move up into the northeast. They haven't had snowfall in quite a while, but we do expect 10 to maybe 12 inches for portions of upstate New York there, the northern half of Massachusetts there, and then the northern, I would say, 1/8 or 4ths of Vermont and New Hampshire, also expecting those very high bullseye amounts. So that is definitely worth noting. Now let's move to our GFS model. Okay, because this one gives us a good idea of what to expect with the upcoming pattern. So we move past all this. We've already talked about that on the European model. There's nor'easter number 1, or southern slider number 1. We see it move up like this. And right now, we're 100 hours out, but it moves innocently, bringing minimal amounts of snowfall where it's even possible. We have more limited cold air, and that's been the trend that's really led towards this not looking like a snowstorm. Although we could expect a medium to high amount of rainfall for a lot of those regions in there. As you can see, the cold never reaches its full potential like we expected on the models prior to this date. And we get a little bit quieter before things get a little bit more loud as a clipper meets up with a bit of a nor'easter offshore. And that becomes sort of a storm there by March 2nd, but really it's nothing major until it reaches way up into Canada. We can see the jet stream is about like this, so it's moving well offshore, and it actually kind of curves back in the jet stream. And that's usually a terrible setup for snow here. Usually you don't expect to see any snow there when we see a pattern like this, because any storms would be too far offshore in that pattern. But as far as what the temperatures would be like, it would be really, really cold for a lot of these regions in here, and especially if you go even further north, obviously. But I don't know if any of my viewers even live that far north. Now, we see this really dig in. It's a little bit later than expected. By about March 3rd, we see this trough really dig in. When we take a look at the temperature anomalies, we can see far below normal temperatures. So this isn't going to be a joke. This is extremely below normal temperatures here. And as far as your actual temperatures, I'll have to zoom into the east here just to give us the numbers on screen. So here's some of those lows around this time frame. Um, let's see. I guess this will be the low temperature here. So yeah, mostly 20s down here. We see teens in here, single digits in here, and then negative temperatures here in these green colors. So this is some of the coldest air of the year, obviously. High temperatures, let's get to that high. We could expect 30s in here, 20s for pretty much everywhere, and then teens in here, and even some single digits here for northern New England. So very, very frigid temperatures, guys, that we expect during this portion of the upcoming pattern. Now, as we move past this, though, this is what happens. We have a storm move through just about like this. This is very long range, by the way, but we do see a snowstorm develop here. And what begins to happen is we see another storm move in, and it pulls that cold air down on the western end, which is funny because that's actually how we moved into the pattern that we're in the first place. We saw a storm in the west pull that cold air down in the west, and that forced the warm air to go to the east. And you can see this one takes this track, which we've seen a lot this year so far. Warm front there, cold front there. And we see warm air surging up into the eastern United States by March 6th. So even though we expect a warm-up, we do expect a cool-down actually for the west very soon afterwards. And for the east, even though we expect a cool-down, a major cool-down, we do expect a very big warm-up to occur at some point directly after that. Now, that might not be the case because this is long range, but we do have a huge cold front there and a warm front that's extended very far northward. And this would actually bring much warmer temperatures than we've even seen with these previous storms, because this is actually taking that warm front much further northward, indicating that much warmer air makes its way up the coast. We see this cold front eventually crashes through, though, as expected this time of year. And then we see some storminess return here to the southeast as these warm-ups prevail. We see it happen again. So we get back into this persistent stormy pattern, and it's going to be very, very interesting, actually, if we could see this occur again. Again, cold front developing there, warm front somewhere up here, and tons of warm air pouring into the eastern United States. Do I expect this to happen? I don't really know because it's beyond 240 hours, but I kind of hope it happens actually because I kind of want spring to occur at this point. I'm kind of ready for warm air, so I'm sure a lot of you are on the same page, but it looks like we're going to have a very brief, very cold pattern in the east, but it's going to return back to a pattern like this where even though there will be cooldowns, we're going to be progressively warming up, for multiple days after those cooldowns and then having another cooldown. So it's going to kind of go back and forth like we've seen, cold front rolls through, things warm up over a couple of days, and then another cold front rolls through. That's the pattern we're looking at. Also, throughout this entire pattern, before I end things here, we do likely expect multiple rounds of severe weather in that region if this pattern returns. So that's another thing to keep in mind as well. On this frame, for instance, let's see. Yeah, we do have Cape moving up ahead of these cold fronts, so this will lead towards potential severe weather later on. Anyway, for today's confidence tab, we're at a 4 out of 6. We went to the very extended range on this video, so I'm nowhere near moving up to a 5 or down to a 3. For today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, I think this nor'easter pattern that we expect for a little while in March will stick around. By the way, I don't think it will, obviously, based on this video, but James Marr said, I believe we will stay in a nor'easter pattern for about a week and then return to a pattern very similar to the one we have been in. James Marr has definitely been doing his homework and paying attention because that's exactly what we talked about in this video. For today's patron, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons, Bill Craze, James Wade, Dovin Nagel, Lurla Pan, Mandy Birchfield, Patrick Strickland, Dave Scott, and Donna Carnes as well. But also to thank our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Kodalasa, Capite, Charles Tennant, Bill Dallas, Gary's, and John Colisi also. But also to thank our channel members, Capite, Stephen Fan, and Jeremy Cox as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.